Night Force #1, written by Marv Wolfman, art by Tom Mandrake. This is a new miniseries, and just full disclosure, it's one of those like magic-based series that asks questions first and answers nothing later. So I'm very confused by a lot of it, but I'm going to do my best to get through this. So we open up on a woman being drowned, and as she's being drowned, she sees these grotesque figures of like an alien baby and these horrifying looking women and a giant ram skull headed creature. And then we just go away from that. And we meet up with a man named Duffy, who is a police officer, and he's leaving for the morning to. He stops by the mantle and says how he's going to try to make his dad proud. And as he gets in the car, he gets a call from, I assume, dispatch saying that there's a mugging going on down by a beach. And as he gets down there, we see the opening scene of the woman being drowned. And Duffy gets over there and saves the woman, but the mugger gets away. And Duffy's like, all right, well, we're going to take you to the hospital. You're going to be fine. We get one panel of some sort of creepy red room with like surveillance going on. And says Winters must have learned about the girl, but he certainly doesn't know about Simon or why or how she's important. So I don't know what that means. Regardless, we get to this big old creepy mansion and a guy inside who we will find out later is named Baron Winters and his pet leopard Merlin. And he's chastising Merlin because he's reading Merlin's Book of the Night. Yes, it's just a book written by a leopard, I guess. And it has the name of this woman, Zoe Davis, and like her history. And apparently it's not nearly as detailed as he'd like. But he walks through his mansion and he's like, well, two of the new members of our new Night Force have met up, which means the last one will join shortly, and then one of them will die. But you know, that happens. And then he mentions something about a woman named Vanessa, who may or may not be alive or dead. It's hard to tell, but Winters is certainly upset by it. And he says how he's not even sure what side he's supposed to be on, but regardless, they have to get ready. And then we see the follow-up of Zoe in the hospital getting treated, and Duffy calls back dispatch and was just like, how did you know that thing was gone? She was being drowned. Like, how did you know that 18 minutes beforehand? And they were like, we didn't call you. Like, nobody here called you. And he's like, but what? And so he goes and talks to Zoe, trying to get some answers as to what's going on. Zoe is still seeing the skull-faced monsters in her eyes, and as she's about to be killed by one, she snaps out of it and asks Duffy where she is. And then we see the woman who supposedly called Duffy, at least Duffy thinks she did. She's like, okay, there, I called him and then I denied it. Are we good? And he's like, nah, you promised me 3 favors. And it turns out on the other side of the phone is Baron Winters. So he's playing both sides, I guess. So he always comes out on top. And regardless, Duffy's talking to Zoe and he's just trying to get answers like, do you know why you were attacked? Also, what are you talking about monsters? That doesn't make any sense. And as Zoe's being escorted out of the room, because I guess she's just fine now, puts in a wheelchair because, you know, I think you have to do that for hospital policy. But as they walk through the door, they end up on the other side, inside Baron Winters' manor called Wintersgate Manor. So that's a thing. And they're kind of freaked out for a second, but then as soon as they start talking, an alarm starts going off, and Baron Winters is like, okay, hold that thought. You guys stay here. I'll be right back. And as soon as they start making their way through, Duffy's like, okay, we're going to go because this is creepy. And Zoe's like, yeah, no, I agree. So they start moving through the mansion, and as soon as they enter into one of the doors, they're attacked by these shadow monsters, which can actually like scratch them and hurt them. And there isn't really much that they can do about it. Duffy's just screaming, stay away from us. And as soon as Baron Winters hears this, he busts in and he's like, get out of here. Go on, get. And he uses some light magic to like banish them. And Duffy and Zoe are like, what the hell's going on? And Baron Winters is like, it beats me, but I'm going to find out. And at that point, 2 FBI agents named Henry Ito and Edward Corbin bust in. And apparently some serial killer came into this house. Or at least they tracked him here, and they need to have a look around. And Baron Winters is like, excuse me? No. And he's like, don't worry, just wait here. It'll only be a minute. And he waits for all of like 7 seconds and then just follows them out. He goes with Merlin and they sniff out that, yes, the serial killer actually is in the house and he's dead and it looks like he's been drained of all life. But as soon as Baron Winters starts investigating, the FBI come up behind him and is like, I thought we told you to stay put. And then they start listing off that Baron Winters has some huge rap sheet that is basically all linked to suspicions of like using psychotherapy mumbo jumbo or something to con people out of huge sums of money. And he's like, well, all you have are suspicions and you don't have a warrant. So get the hell out of my house. And they're like, all right, fine, but we will be back. And we take the body with us as they carry out the serial killer. And immediately Duffy and Zoe are like, those guys didn't seem legit. And it's like, yeah, no, they're not FBI. I don't know what they are, but they're definitely not FBI. So Duffy then points a gun at Winters. He's like, all right, time to give us some answers. And Winters straight up just tells him, like, your entire life has been consumed by whatever is happening to that girl right now. Your life, your father's life before you. And Duffy's like, what do you know about my papa? Then we cut to West Virginia, where a senator is about to give a speech, but he is having like a cluster headache in the car. So he's trying to get over that before he gives the speech. And then this red surveillance room sees some woman in the crowd who, quote, sees him and has some crazy ass like devil eyes. And then she makes her way back to her car. There's just a panel in here of some complete other guy just asking an assistant how they did on their speech. And then the woman from before gets back into her car, and then she's immediately eaten by some giant tooth monster. And we're just done with that sequence. So then we cut to that night, I guess. Duffy and Zoe go to a motel where they spend the night separately, of course. And Duffy makes some calls saying, like being all sneaky, saying like, hey, I called you about earlier. Yeah, make sure you get on it, but stay secret about it. And as soon as he hangs up, he says, I've been looking for you a long time, Zoe. And then that's it. It's just one of those series that like is setting up all of its big like mystery things right here, right now, and then we'll slowly get the unraveling over time. And that's fine, but that doesn't help me understand anything that's going on. Pretty much since the back half, like as soon as the FBI enter, like before that, I thought I got it. I thought I understood. But as soon as the FBI or the fake FBI enter, I'm immediately lost. And I have no clue what's going on with any part of the story. So maybe we'll get something eventually. I don't know how the series is going to turn out. But for this particular issue, I'm going to have to give it a 5, straight down the middle average, because it's just, I don't know what it's doing. It may turn out to be great. It may turn out to be awful. I don't understand this issue, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt because it is the first issue of the series. But if I was just a comic book reader and I read this by itself, I would not be coming back for issue 2. Unfortunately, I'm beholden to, so we'll see it when we get there.